Hello and welcome to Flicks and Chill with me, Luke. Today I have a very special guest on my show. Leslie is here. So Leslie, why don't you take it away and introduce yourself, please?
Hi, so I'm Leslie Lee. I live in California in the United States, right smack dab in the middle. I'm an author and a screenwriter and a mother of two crazy children. And yeah, that's me.
Nice. Thank you so much for accepting the invite to be on this
Of
show.
course, thank you for
Greatly
having me.
appreciated. No, no, honestly, the pleasure is all mine. So let's get into it. So you're screenwriter.
Hmm.
So is there anything, as a proper guest, I didn't do any research. So I'm
Of
like, should I
course,
have
it's
done any
totally
research?
fine.
Tell me, is there anything I could, what you wrote? I'm like, oh yeah, you wrote this. Really?
No, probably not.
Okay.
My books are published.
Mm-hmm.
Currently the screenplay is being shopped around.
Mm.
We're trying to get funding for it.
Okay.
It's done fairly well on the festival scene, like it's won a couple of awards and whatnot, but
Mm-hmm.
it still hasn't been picked up. So that's
Mm-hmm.
that's the hope and the dream is that somebody will pick it up and do something with it.
Nice. What is the screenplay about?
The screenplay is based off I'm currently working on a fantasy series, a series of four books, and the
Mm-hmm.
screenplay is based on the first book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's essentially it's about a fictional world where vampires and elves have been warring with one another for 1,000 years,
Mm-hmm.
and their world is starting to fall into decay and is going to be destroyed unless a prophecy can be fulfilled.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah. Not my normal genre. Normally I do historical fiction and I got dared to write a fantasy and
Oh,
this was the results.
okay. I was gonna ask, what is your normal quote unquote genre? So historical fiction. Here is that. Okay.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah,
is
I've done Oh, go ahead.
No, no, I was gonna say, so before we talk about vampires versus elves, what is the historical genre? Like can you give me some examples of your work?
Yeah, so I've done my first book that I wrote in high school, my senior year,
Mm,
is was set in the 1800s in Ireland during
okay.
the potato famine and the unrest there. And
Mm,
then I wrote another book set on the East Coast in Maine,
mm,
that was also set in the 1800s. And so I kind of stick to that time period.
mm,
Um, and then I did a contemporary piece because again, I was dared by the same person who dared me to write a fantasy.
mm.
They're like this, why are you always writing stuff that's like back in the day? You should try writing something contemporary. All right, challenge accepted. And so I did,
Mm.
and then the same person came back and was like, "Okay, so you should write a fantasy or a sci-fi." And I can't do sci-fi because I feel like sci-fi has a lot of like technical jargon that you have to know. Like, I could not explain warp drive or light speed or any of that. So I was
Mm,
like, "All right,
mm.
we'll do fantasy."
Okay. I was gonna say, just because you don't necessarily understand those things, have you seen certain movies? Like, I'm sure their
I,
writers didn't understand them either, and they made movies. Hey, so
Yeah, no, yeah, no, it's yeah, and I don't know. I'm a big fan of Lord of the Rings and
Mhm,
Chronicles of Narnia, like that whole type of fantasy, and so fantasy kind of seems
mhm.
like the logical choice.
Okay. So two questions off of this, right? So first of all, who is this one person who keeps daring you to write something else and something else? Do you want to give
Oh,
them a shout out?
totally. So this is my good friend. We've been friends for years. I mean, literally, there's pictures of us when he was in preschool. I'm a little bit older, but like in his parents' backyard. So we go way back. This is my good friend, and also like a brilliant filmmaker himself, Philip Bergman. He's amazing, and so
Okay.
he's kind of like the reason that these books even exist in the first place. So yeah, that's
Okay.
my bestie.
Shout out to Philip then. And
Yeah,
my
shout out
second
to Philip.
question, so you mentioned two books set in 1800s, one in Ireland, one in Maine. What's your obsession with the 1800s? Why
I
or
don't
why
know.
1800s?
Right. I don't know. I like the time period. I like the kind of shift. I feel, we were starting to be progressive. We
Hmm.
maybe we weren't necessarily all that progressive, but
Hmm.
things were starting to change. The one in Maine is towards the end of the 1800s, so we're coming into like the new century.
Hmm.
My characters tend to be, especially the female characters, tend to be very progressive, very stubborn and independent. And so that kind of just that genre seemed to suit my characters,
Hmm. Hmm.
not conforming to social norms of the day and whatnot. And so and I'm a big fan of like the literature of that time period. And so
Hmm.
yeah, it just fell into
Okay.
place.
Yeah, no, that sounds good actually. So what got you into writing like this? So like have you always been like ever since you were tiny? Have you always been like I need to scribble something down, or did it come like as you were growing up, or what sparked that like I need to be a writer?
Yeah, so my earliest memories of wanting to be a writer
Hmm.
came from my mom reading me. She read me Charlotte's Web and
Hmm.
I had vivid memories. I must have only been like three of sitting on our ratty couch and she was reading Charlotte's Web,
Hmm.
and I remember like being able to just visualize everything in the story, and I wanted to do that. And so my mom would get like newsprint paper, and I would draw the pictures on the paper, and then she would write what was happening and then staple it together. And so I would have like these little books that I would create. And that continued into like this when I was in the second grade. I entered a young author competition
Hmm.
and got second place. And
Nice.
my personality is such that second place wasn't good enough.
Ah.
So in third grade, I did the same thing and I still got second place. And so from then on, like it was like, okay, like I'm always going to strive for first.
Hmm.
And then as I got older, things became more complex and more in depth. And I ended up like spending most of my high school education writing in like biology class instead of paying attention, and like nearly flunked out of science and math because all I wanted to do was write.
Yeah.
So it's been my whole life that writing and reading both coincide, and it's just been that's a great love of mine.
Yeah. So have you, okay, let me ask this question. Have you ever had any quote unquote a normal like a desk job, or have you always been able to, make a living as a writer?
Oh, I wish. No, I've kind of been all over the
Mm.
place. I went to school with the intent to be an English teacher. And then
Okay.
I got to my last basically semester, and I kind of had this moment where I'm like, wait a minute, I don't want to spend the rest of my life in the classroom teaching kids English who don't appreciate literature. This sounds horrible.
Hmm.
I love kids. I love children, but like that idea just was like, And so I actually shifted to just have an English degree with a focus in journalism. And then I ended up spending the next 15 years working in an after school program for our school district.
Hmm.
So while I wasn't teaching, I was still with children. And then I've just done like odd jobs. I like to stay busy, but I also don't like being told what to do. Um,
Hmm.
and so I do a lot of freelance writing,
Hmm.
and yeah, I'm kind of just like all over the place. So no, I've never actually had like a desk job, but writing is not my profession, sad to say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get it. Well, it seems like it soon, might be like,
I
especially if
know.
this a new one. So this vampire versus elves, or yeah,
Yeah.
is that correct? It,
Yeah.
does that have a name, that script? Is there a preliminary like a title for that? Or
Yeah, it's same title as the book, and it's called Child of Dawn.
Child of Dawn? Okay, okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
So when you were writing this, specifically this book, how hard is it? Because there's been obviously a lot of vampire, like,
Yeah.
books, movies, TV shows, all of it, right? Like, you
Yeah.
basically cannot open a fridge and so for a vampire not to pop
It's
up.
uh-huh.
Yeah. How hard is it to write something that's so familiar? And how hard is it to write something like that and not copy something that's already out there as for you as a writer?
It was challenging in the sense that I recognized that the vampire thing specifically has been done and redone again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my my vampires, the thing that I wanted to do with this series
Hmm.
is take these two kind of like stereotypical fantasy creatures, the vampires and the elves, and like switch them up. So my vampires are not fully evil, dark beings who just want to suck your blood and kill you or turn you into a vampire.
Yeah.
And my elves aren't your, glowing, beautiful, regal, majestic,
Hmm.
innately good creatures. The
Hmm.
elves are actually tend to be the ones that are, I guess, like the bad guys.
Hmm.
And the vampires tend to be more heroic and good. And there's a lot in the writing that is kind of like a commentary on our current political and social and cultural environment, where you look at somebody or see somebody and you judge them based on what you think you know.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so there's a lot of that in there, and I don't like the stereotypical vampire tropes,
Hmm.
like they drive me nuts because I just think it's so overdone. And so I kind of go back to like Dracula and the books that inspired Dracula when
Hmm.
I'm trying to create my character, but then I add in a little bit of heroism
Yeah.
into it as well.
Yeah. Do your vampires sparkle?
They don't. I get asked that question all the time, and it's such a legit, valid question, but they
Unfortunately,
don't. Thank God.
unfortunately, it is a valid question, isn't it? It's
It's a totally valid question, and that shouldn't have to be a question that needs to be asked.
there is a generation
No,
of fans who, for whom, if you say vampire, like, oh, the sparkling kind, I
yeah,
like those. Yes.
yeah, no, they can be in the sunlight, but they do not sparkle.
Oh, they
Yeah,
can be in a silent.
they
So
can
your
be.
vampires can be okay.
Yeah, they can be in the sunlight, but they don't sparkle. And then some of them can fly. Some of them actually have wings. So
Wow.
it depends on like your genetic makeup, as
Hmm.
as as it were,
So
if you have wings or not.
yeah, I don't have a wing, so like but I see what you mean. So is this fantasy? I know you mentioned this is a fantasy, one of
Yeah.
four. But I don't remember if you mentioned, is this set in like our current world? Like, is it a the word I can pronounce? Is that like
Yeah,
current
no, no. It's
or
so it's set like the time frame is never really like given,
ah,
but the first part of the first book, you are in the real world, the world of
mm-hmm,
humans,
mm-hmm,
but there is a way to cross over into the Veil. The world that most of the series takes place in is called the Veil. And so in the first portion of the first book, the heroine crosses over, and then the rest of it is set in the Veil, which is just like I guess like an alternate reality.
so, so it's one of those like you need to cross like kind of like a portal where and that
Yeah,
where most humans either we cannot go or we cannot see it or something like that.
yeah, yeah, and it kind of like harkens back to like the idea that certain times of the year,
Hmm.
the curtain between like the fantastical world and the real world will like lessen,
Hmm.
and you can cross over, or fairies would cross over. I know that's part of fairy literature and lore, and so I use that, and then there is an actual portal that they end up using at one point in the story as well.
I always like those stories. It's kind of like, in a way, like that's why I always appreciate, for example, like Harry Potter. Like, yes, they exist in
Yeah,
our world, like they are
yeah,
in our quote unquote real world, but they have their magic, like portals, or like you need to go through
yes,
this wall to actually
yes,
access that magical train that takes you to Hogwarts and stuff like that. because that explains
Yeah,
much more, like, oh, that's why we cannot see this. That's why we cannot, even though it happens in our reality. So like I always like those stories where
exactly.
it's like split almost.
Yeah, and it kind of gives the viewer or the reader this subconscious idea that, magic quite possibly could exist
Hmm.
somewhere and we don't have access. Like where is it?
Yeah, and you don't have to justify it's like, oh, we cannot see the vampires because, A, B, and C, and we cannot see the elves because D, E, and F. It's like, you don't have
Uh-huh.
to justify that. You just like, hell, there's a portal. That's
Yep,
why.
there it is.
Don't worry about it. Portal.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
that sounds good. I really hope it's gonna get picked up then. Like,
I know.
hmm
That'd be nice.
how is that? See, okay, talk to me about this process because obviously, so you have a book, great. You have a screenplay now out that's being circled. So how does that work? Is there like a what I'm thinking is or imagining there's a paper copy someplace and it goes from a studio or from a studio head or from some agent to an agent to an agent. Is that it, or is there more complex, or is it less
It's
complex?
So the way it's working for me, and
Hmm.
I do know that I mean it's just you never really know the path that you're going to end up taking in order to find success.
Hmm.
But I there's a platform called Film Freeway
Hmm.
where you can post your screenplay, or if you've actually made a film, you can also post it there. And this is kind of like a way for anybody in the industry, whether you're a director or a producer, to come across it. And the more you kind of put yourself out there and you promote yourself, like through festivals or competitions or, just trying to network with people, the more success you're going to have. And so that, I mean, like right now, it's out there and it's garnered some recognition. So the hope is that somebody will actually see it
Hmm.
and pick it up and use it. And it's gotten some reviews have come in over the last couple of weeks, and it's gotten like 4 out of 5s as far as reviews
Nice.
go. So it's like I know it's good. It just has to get in front of the right person.
See, okay, so is this the biggest challenge right now as a aspiring, well, okay, you are a writer, like you're no longer aspiring, right? You've written books. And now
Yeah,
you're trying to sell this screenplay that hopefully will turn into like a movie or maybe TV show, like TV series,
yeah,
maybe. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So is that what do you think your biggest challenge right now? Like, just to get it in front of the correct person, or is there something else that, we don't know about, like, or I don't know about? It's like, no, actually, the biggest challenge for you right now is this.
And no, I would agree. I think it's not building the confidence or figuring out what to do or how
Hmm.
to do it.
Hmm.
It's pushing and putting, your feet to the pavement and trying to get that person to see it.
Hmm.
And you know that people are looking at it because you're getting the reviews and you're getting the comments. You just haven't the right person hasn't seen it. And
Yeah.
so but the industry nowadays, both with books and film, is so saturated because
Hmm.
of, the ability to just upload something.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't have to knock on a door anymore. You
Hmm.
just, you just go upload and it's there.
Yeah.
And so I recognize that it's hard, for
Hmm.
people that are reading these scripts because they're just inundated
Hmm.
with stuff. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I could imagine. Do you have a dream, let's say studio, or a dream a director? Let's say it's gonna get picked up as a movie, right? Do you have
yeah.
a dream director that, if you had your say, you would be like, this person is doing the movie based on my script.
I would say it would have to be either Christopher Nolan, who is my top favorite filmmaker, or Peter Jackson, based on the fact that he knocked Lord of the Rings out of the park. And I mean, Return of the King is my favorite movie. So one of those guys, I think they'd be very capable of creating this whole universe that
Hmm.
I've written about.
You cannot get any better than those two guys, so yeah, that's sensible. Sensible.
Now I fully recognize that realistically that probably won't happen because nobody knows who I am yet. But That would be the dream.
Hmm. No, I wish you nothing but the best. Like I hope, you will manage to sell it and then one day I'll see it someplace and it's like, oh wait, I
I
remember
know
that.
that
I remember
person.
that.
Yes.
So obviously besides so you're a writer and all of these things, but besides that, do you even have time for any other hobbies? Is there what makes Leslie? Do you have any other hobbies than writing or do you even have time because you mentioned you're a mom, you have two kids, if I'm not mistaken?
Uh-huh. I have a 13-year-old and he's almost 11. He'll be 11 next month.
So yeah, do you even have your any spare time to yourself besides your writing and kids?
No, no, there's no way. I mean, I like I'm a very social person, so when I do have a chance, I like to hang out with people. I'm a total extrovert.
Hmm.
But my children are just, especially at this age, like they're playing sports, and my daughter's into cheer, which cheer is a sport. We have to say that. But like, but I just go. But I mean, part of my, I guess, kind of like persona,
Hmm.
especially on social media, is I write a lot of my stuff in my car. And so that's kind of been like this kind of like persona that I've taken on where people are like, I just take pictures of myself writing in my car or like a screenshot of like the computer on the dashboard.
Oh,
Because I live in my car a lot of the time, driving them places. And so,
I was gonna ask, so do you travel with like when you said I'm writing in my car a lot, I've imagined one of two scenarios. Either you with a notepad and like scribbling everything down, or you on your phone. I didn't think like you would actually bring like a laptop, so you bring a full-on
no.
laptop.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, the laptop that we're currently chatting on is like my life. It goes with me
Okay.
everywhere. So
So you
they
just like a
never get
drop of your
destroyed.
kids. Yeah, so you drop off your kids like in like a cheer and one of the practices, and you just chill in
Uh-huh.
the car for an hour just writing your stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it gets harder. It gets really hot here in the summer. And so
Hmm.
it gets hotter as the year goes on, but like the primo writing atmosphere would be like dropping my son off to football practice
Hmm.
and it's like cloudy and maybe a little bit misty and I just get to sit and write in that. Like that was very inspirational for me. But when it's
Hmm.
110 degrees outside, I'm not inspired at all.
Yeah, no, I get it because that temperature it's usually you probably want to go someplace on a beach or just chill someplace with friends or something like that, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah.
Especially in like a sunny California, I cannot blame you. That would be
No.
difficult. That would be
No,
difficult.
and I mean I am very much like my vampires. I don't like the sun at
Okay.
all. Like I hate it. And I live in
Shadow
California.
in
Like
the
go
shadows.
figure. I seriously, I'm like do not make me go outside if it's like blazing sunlight, please.
I see. So you wouldn't even okay, so you don't even want to go to the beach. You just want to stay home in the shadows and just like exist.
Right? I mean now the like some of our beaches here get do have like the overcast
Hmm.
fog like Northern California and I love those.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
I love the sound of the ocean. I just don't want to be hot on the beach. I want to be cold.
Hmm. See,
So,
in that case, you need to come to Scotland, where I exist.
see,
We have great beaches, and you will never be hot. You'll always be
I know
cold, no matter the
it's
time of the
true.
year. Like it's always like
It's true.
it can be sunny. Have you ever been to Scotland?
I've been to Ireland. I've
Oh,
been to
Ireland.
Ireland three.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's like I mean, you can't compare the two and say they're similar because that's just offensive, and I fully recognize that. But like the idea of it's always rainy or cloudy, like rarely is it sunny, and
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
cold all the time, magical. It's the best.
In that case, you would love it here. Like I live in north of Scotland. Like, I'm in a kind of north area where even when it's sunny and you go to the beach, most of the time because it's very close to the North Sea, we have that like a north
Uh-huh.
north cold wind.
That's
So,
fabulous.
oh, see, it's fabulous, but if you actually want to get your bones a bit warmer, it's not that fabulous. I will say it definitely has its pros and cons. Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. You're never happy where you are. The grass is always greener. So it's
That's true.
yeah.
That is true. But yeah. So before we leave the subject, one last question. Do you, as a obviously a writer, do you have anybody you look up to as like, oh, I wish I was as, let's say, as good as this writer or that one? Is there somebody like that you would say is your almost a role model?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, Tolkien for sure.
Of course.
Um,
Hmm.
the fact that like I know people are like, oh, so he wrote Lord of the Rings, but he's for anybody who knows like his life and history and like all the I mean, like the man was just brilliant. The fact that
Hmm.
he could create a whole language based off of the knowledge that he had um from just studying, and being an academic is just mind-boggling to me.
Hmm.
Um and I tend to kind of like I did not create my own language, but a lot of the names in the books harken back to like Gaelic and like ancient Germanic.
Hmm.
Um, and that's kind of like a nod to him.
Hmm.
And then C.S. Lewis is the same thing.
Ah.
Just
Hmm.
like his writing, but also like the way he put himself into his writing and what he thought and what he believed and like his nonfiction is just incredible too. And so they are my consummate heroes. And then also an author named Stephen R. Lawhead has done a lot of fantasy work, but like he did a series on King Arthur, and then he did one actually that takes place in ancient Scotland. The main character goes through a portal
Hmm.
in a cairn,
Hmm.
and it's transported back to like, well, I think it's like prehistoric Scotland. And so I love his stuff too. Like the world building that he does.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay. That's see, I wish like as a person who I used to read a lot of books when I was younger. Like when I was about 10, 11, I grew up. I was one of those kids who would go to the library. I had a library card and I would, check
Yep.
out like, 7 books and I had them all read within a month. And now I wish I need to go back to it. Do you even have time to read or how often do you read?
That is like when I have spare time,
Hmm.
which
Yeah.
we all know that doesn't really exist. I love to read. I mean, you can't see it, but like the upper shelf in my closet is like all books, and then I actually got rid of shoes to add more space for more books.
Hmm.
Um, and I kind of read across the board. I didn't when I was younger. It was all fiction.
Hmm.
But now I do a lot of nonfiction too, a lot of commentary. I love reading history.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and then I love to collect old books. So I have a
Okay.
lot of those too, which is kind of like my pride and joy. Like I have a first edition of Last of the Mohicans, and that's like my baby because
Wow.
it's quite pricey. And so I found it at a library sale. I got it for $1.
How,
And
so when did you discover it as you were like, shopping and like, oh, this is the first edition. Let me grab it for $1, or did you discover it after?
I no, well, I so the Pathfinder and Last of the Mohicans are probably two of my favorite books as far as American literature goes.
Hmm.
And so I didn't realize it was a first edition until I got home, and then
Uh-huh.
I just wanted it, and it just looks cool. I'm looking at it right now.
Hmm.
And but then I was like, I wonder if this is like worth any money. And so I went online and like typed it all like the information in, and it's like worth a couple $100. So I'm like,
Nice.
okay, cool. So we're not going to sell it because I love it, but
Mhm.
also,
Yeah, it is like, in 20 years, this might be your like, some sort of like retirement fund. Especially
right?
especially if the things are going very well, like as they've been going until now. Hey,
Yeah,
you might need
yeah,
you
uh-huh.
might need anything you can get your hands on.
So true. So true.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of America, speaking of, you mentioned you're in California. And
Yeah.
I've talked to quite a few people from California, so I cannot wait. What are you gonna tell me? So if I were to ask you, Leslie, hey, I'm coming where you are for about a week for a holiday. What would you recommend me? I need to see in that week. Where would you take me to eat? what's that one thing or a few things around you, like without getting too specific, because again, this is the internet. You don't want to out yourself that much. Like, is there something that's around you that's like, oh, we only have it here in this, and it's quite cool to see.
Well, okay, so where I live,
Hmm.
I would not recommend specifically coming here.
Okay.
I'll meet you somewhere.
Hmm.
A lot of people I know love this area. I don't. I kind of feel like when you're here, you're stuck.
Hmm.
Like you either get out and you never come home,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
you never leave.
I
And
see.
so there's not a lot here, like as far for like creatives. And
Mm.
so, but we are where I am, we are about 3 hours to the beach
Hmm.
and a little under that to the mountains, which is really nice
Okay.
because it's a midpoint. We're also not that far from LA or San Francisco.
Hmm.
So, you can go up and back in a day if you need to.
Hmm.
But our mountains are amazing. We have the sequoias and the mountain ranges are beautiful. There's a lot of places to go hiking. I'm not that far from Yosemite, which is currently not that great
Hmm.
because they cut back on forest rangers. So a lot of them got laid off, and so things are not all that splendid right now. But
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
landscape is beautiful. Um, and then our beaches are amazing. Like I'm 3 hours from, I don't know if you know where Monterey is, but that's my favorite beach because it's very rocky
Hmm.
and misty and overcast and
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly your vibe. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
see.
Yeah.
I know California is known for like a like a mishmash of like a there's like a lot of like Mexican cuisine, but there's also
Hmm.
like a great Italian, like because people from New York come there and teach show them how it's done and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What is your favorite? Like, do you have a like a favorite thing around you if you ever go out and are like, oh, this is a great place to eat or
So if I'm going local, in fact, I
Mhm.
was just there last night. There's a place called Eureka Burger,
Mm.
which has amazing burgers. Their nachos are awesome.
Hmm.
Great drinks, great vibe. There's like a patio you can sit on. But one of my favorite places to go is south, at a beach called Pismo Beach.
Hmm.
And it's like a like a California Mexican kind of like fusion restaurant called Ventanas, and it's right on the water. You can look out the window and like see the ocean, and I love
Hmm.
their food. They have an amazing they bring, instead of bringing like chips and salsa, they'll bring you tortillas, and you get three different kinds of salsa, and then you get like this cinnamon butter that you can like spread on the tortillas, and it's just amazing.
Okay, that sounds ace. That sounds very good. Okay, okay, now I'm hungry.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, no, thank you for that. Okay, so yeah, like California is such a massive state, and I know, like, it's not people think, and I used to be one of them. It's like, everybody who lives in California is the same. But like,
Yeah.
the more you talk to people in California, the more you realize people in North are different. This mid belt, like the central
Hmm.
belt, like Los Angeles is its own bubble. You know,
Yeah.
San
Yeah.
Francisco has its, things going for it. Also, like, so it's fascinating. And but yet you're like what, fifth, sixth largest economy in the world right now?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's
It's
it's what's crazy.
no,
But then
it's yeah.
we're never like Californians are like never satisfied either. So it's like, yay, like we have this like great economy and we have
Hmm.
great like exports, but we're still
Hmm.
complaining about everything.
And are you native to California? Are you originally from there?
Yeah, so I grew up well, I until I was 6. Grew up outside of San Francisco,
Mm.
and then my parents are both from here. And
Hmm.
so like the great grandparents were here. And so when I was 6, we moved back here and I've
Hmm.
been here ever since.
So born and raised. Nice.
Born and raised. Yep.
Okay, okay. So I think with that we can move to the this or that game where I'll give you two options and you tell me which one would you prefer and why.
You got
So,
it.
Leslie, TV shows
No
or
pressure.
movies? I know.
Probably movies.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you it's like a one and done. So if you
Mm,
absolutely hate it, then it's over, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
But like it's hard to I tend to watch a lot of TV shows and not want to watch like the last couple of episodes, so then I never finish them.
Oh, are you one of them people?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. So like Outlander, the show Outlander,
Hmm.
I never finished it because I don't want to finish it because I don't want it to be over. So I have yet to like finish like and I was a loyal committed fan and I just still haven't finished it. So
I've only met one other person like you, like in real life, I mean, and
yeah.
she is a massive Office fan, like the American, Office.
Uh-huh.
She's watched she's watched it multiple times, like she can probably quote it by heart, but she's never actually seen the last two episodes or last proper like episode because she doesn't exactly what you say. She just doesn't want it to be finished. So as
Yeah.
long as she doesn't watch it, it's never finished.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, I don't know if that's how it works, but hey, I understand, I kind of understand that. So,
Yeah. Well, and
okay.
it's like too, like if you're disappointed with like the finale, it's almost like the whole series has like let you down. Like
Yeah.
Lost was
Hmm.
like every
Ooh.
single episode and back I mean back when Lost was on,
Hmm.
you recorded it on your DVR or whatever and
Hmm.
you watched it like went like either live or like right away because you were going to
Hmm.
find everything out and that last episode like all the effort and time that I spent watching that show it let me down like they're in purgatory what
I don't
like
think
what
they were, but like yeah, like no, they were, but yeah, I'm one of those who actually was not let down of that with that finale, but I understand why. I
yeah
understand people who tell
it
me that. I do.
it almost I don't know like I felt like it was almost just kind of like this is what you came up with you had
Hmm.
this brilliant like scheme this
Hmm.
whole way through the series and this okay
Yeah. A bit of a side note. Are you watching Yellow Jackets right now?
no because it terrifies me
Oh, is it really?
it scared the crap out of me I don't do good with like suspense or it's not really horror I wouldn't call it horror but it's just like it's scary for me and I don't know why I think it's like
Cannibalism.
the yeah, like it just you just yeah, okay, cool. I'm good with not. Yeah,
Fair.
but I do know people that watch it and are like obsessed. So,
I'm one of them people, yes. On a day we're gonna date this show a bit, but on a day we are recording this, I just finished the third season because it just wrapped up, and I'm like, yeah, this is getting very interesting. I know people are not really liking it, some people, but I'm still in, and I hope the writers, as you mentioned, Lost, the writers said we need 5 seasons and we have a plan. They have you know,
yeah,
they have a plan for every single character apparently, and they just need two
yeah,
more seasons. So I cannot wait to see what the plan is. So it's
yeah,
exactly as you say, like, hopefully the end will be like, oh, this was great. I kind of want to start it again. And it's not
yeah,
gonna be like, oh, is this what we were going? Okay. Oh well. So
yeah,
I know
yeah,
exactly what you mean. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You feel like you've invested so much, and then it just is like, ugh.
Yeah. 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 Uh, tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Okay. How do you take your coffee?
Well, usually like if I'm at home, I'll do like a black coffee and I'll put a little bit of creamer in it.
Hmm.
If I'm out, I'll get like a mocha or
Hmm.
something,
Hmm.
a little bit fancier. But generally, it's just like it's black with a little bit of cream.
Nice. Nice. Money or free time?
Free time as a
Okay.
mom. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's, yeah. When you said that as a mom, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Makes sense. Especially 11-year-old and 13-year-old, like, that's like the
Yes.
height of, they are, from what I understand, I don't have children yet. They're all over the place at that age, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and my daughter has always been old for her age. Like she's got the mentality of like a 26-year-old. So it's like a lot.
Mm.
Like a whole lot. She's wonderful,
Okay.
but it's a lot.
I get it. I have a friend here who's got two girls. One is 6, the other is 4. they are the loveliest girls. Like when we meet them, my girlfriend and I, when we meet them, great. And they can also be a bit too much, and she's always like almost apologizing every time we say goodbye. It's like, oh, I'm sorry for everything. I'm like, it's fine, because like,
Oh
it's
my
still at the
gosh.
age where like if they are not satisfied, those girls, they'll let you know instantly because they still are
Yeah.
like at that age, like, oh mom, let's go home. I don't like it anymore. And they just start to cry. And, it's just yeah, it is what it is. Kids are kids. But yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
hmm Honesty or other people's feelings.
Gosh, that's a hard one.
hmm
And you didn't want radio silence. Ah, probably other people's feelings,
hmm
which, yeah, that's a tough one because I am very like outspoken and like I will give you my opinion and I will argue with you until we are both dead. But I also, like anybody who knows me would say I'm too nice. And
Oh,
so,
hmm,
like Philip's favorite phrase is, God, that's you're so nice. So yeah, other people's feelings.
that's fair. That's fair. Uh, I think the next one I kind of know, but I'll ask it anyway. Summer or winter?
Winter.
Yeah. But in California, what is even winter? Like, can you describe like a Californian winter to me, please?
It okay, so it varies. We
hmm
will have winters like this last year.
hmm
It's just now getting warm. Uh and we've had winters where we don't have any rain
hmm
and it's like in like the 70s, which I'm assuming is hot for you. That's like our I mean we have cold, but 70s kind of like the range, like the or like the perfect sweet spot. It's at least where I am.
hmm
And so yeah, I mean we get sometimes we get rain, sometimes we don't. It's not freezing cold. But people will complain and I'll be
hmm
like happy. Yes, it's 54. Sweet. Put on my hoodie.
Exactly. And yeah, we rarely get any more than see, I don't operate with Fahrenheit. We do Celsius here. So we
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
I'm from, where I live currently, it's about maximum would be like 24, which I
Oh,
think
geez.
translates to like about maybe 75, 80-ish. Like don't get, like it might be totally wrong. Just like, but it's maximum. But yeah,
That's a
it's
yeah, that sounds amazing.
see, I feel like you would really love it here. Like, just gonna say, like, like some people love it
No,
here
I
for that
would.
reason. For that reason
No, I
specifically.
yeah, no, I mean the three times that I've been to Ireland, I get there and it's like I almost become Irish. Like I slip into everything and everything is just comfortable and normal for me and the weather is fantastic and
hmm
yeah. So I'm sure Scotland would be the same way.
Hey, maybe if you track your like ancestry, like you discovered that, 200 years ago, your family came from Ireland, and maybe it's
I'm
like,
sure that
the.
I'm well, I mean the hair. So it's it's logic. It stands to reason that I'm
Mhm.
either like Scandinavian or Irish or Scottish.
Yeah. See, maybe the land is calling you back. Maybe just
I
like
think
every time you
yeah,
go to
right?
Ireland, it's like, come back.
Right?
Okay.
I don't want to leave.
Probably the most important question of all,
Oh
ninjas or
no.
pirates?
Pirates.
Oh, that was instant. Why?
That was yeah. No, why? Um I love the history and the lore.
hmm
And I mean, well, my second book in the fantasy series is based on vampire pirates. So, yeah, I wrote a whole book about them. So, yeah, I love just kind of like the idea. Like, and I realize it's been completely romanticized in literature, but
hmm
yeah, definitely pirates.
Fair. Did we skip a page where, suddenly the vampires became pirates as well? Like I must have missed that. That's
No,
you've written.
I didn't clarify. Like, so the first book, they're, brooding vampire
hmm hmm
people. And
Yeah.
then in the second book, I introduce a faction of like the vampire culture, and they're known as the Braddock, and they are vampire pirates. And they're that the second book is kind of about their because it's spoiler alert. the end of the first book, there's like a truce called, like a temporary peace between the vampires and the elves. And then the
Hmm.
second book, it's kind of about, well, what do the vampire pirates who literally make a living off of chaos and
Hmm.
not having peace, how do they go about continuing to live their life because they're being told that they can't be pirates anymore? So
Hmm.
it's kind of like that story. And then all
And those
heck
books are
breaks loose
out,
again.
right? Those books
Yeah,
are.
the first two are out, and then I actually just finished the third yesterday.
Oh,
So that
congrats.
one will be out. Yeah, that one will be out like hopefully sooner than later.
Because like when you say vampires, I'm like, all right, I like vampires. And when you say vampire pirates, I'm like, I don't think I ever heard of a vampire pirate. So I'm very
Yeah,
intrigued. I'm like, all
yeah,
right, okay.
yeah. Right. Well, and it was never my intention to write a series. It was just supposed to be like a one-off. And then I
Mhm,
got to the end of Child of Dawn and everybody was like, well, where's the sequel? Like, what's going to happen? And I didn't have a sequel. I had nothing.
mhm,
And then I came up with the idea. I love pirates. And so, I mean, they kind of like almost coincide. Like pirates were very bloodthirsty and ruthless, and
mhm.
that's kind of the idea of a vampire. So it like made sense. So that's kind of like how the story continued.
Okay, I'll need to check him out. I because that sounds fa very fascinating to me. All
Yeah.
right, okay. And the last question, free will or destiny?
Oh,
I know.
free will, I
Okay.
think. And I think that is because when you have the freedom to make your own choices, I'm
Hmm.
trying to sound really smart. When you have the freedom, when you have the freedom to make your own choices, you can essentially create your own destiny.
Mm-hmm, hmm.
So, yeah, as opposed to like your your where you end up being chosen for you
Yeah, it's already
because
been like predetermined for,
it's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
predetermined. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
you're full on like, no, if you succeed in your life, it's because of you. If you fuck up your life, it's also because of you. So like you're proper
yeah,
like, free will, I can do with my life whatever I want.
yeah.
Okay, I
That
like
makes
it.
sense. Yeah, okay. I just came up with that
Oh.
right now, but hey.
I'm just again like, hey, I might be wrong. So I'm like, okay, am I hearing this correctly? I'm like, all right, no,
Yeah.
no.
No, you got it. You got it.
All right. And before we move to the flex part of this podcast, do you have any hot takes or controversial opinions you would like to share with us?
Um, I mean, like I said before we got on, like I'm kind of I go against the flow
Okay.
a lot of the times. Um, I I mean, perfect example in my circle.
Hmm.
Not my state because my state is very liberal.
Yeah.
But in my circle, I would be considered more Democratic or liberal,
Hmm.
not conservative or Republican. I did not vote for Trump,
Hmm.
um,
I thought
which
that was the end of the sentence. You did not vote, and I was
yeah,
like, I was
no,
almost gonna be
no.
like, really?
No,
No.
well,
Okay.
yeah, no. And I felt, and it was a huge thing here. Like,
Hmm.
especially we're in a pocket of Republicans where I live. And so then the rest of the state is like Democratic. And so
Hmm.
um that was like a big one.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it had to do a lot with just his view and perception and of women and how he treats women and his like just like his kind of like disdain for our gender, I guess. Um,
Hmm.
which I'm not really a feminist in the sense that like female power, but I do think that like we deserve like to be respected and treated as equals.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't see that in him, and
Hmm.
so I didn't vote for him.
No.
Which most places like it's not a big deal, but like
Hmm.
for me specifically,
Yeah.
it
Can I
was.
ask? Can I ask something?
Yes.
So you said, like, is there something you said that I was like, I don't know what do you mean? Like, so when you said I'm not a feminist, all female power, I'm like, what does that mean?
So I know a lot of like women who feel like we don't need men at all, which
Ah, ah. Mm,
I still would love a guy to open a door for me or buy me dinner.
mhm,
Like the idea that because I have my own money, a male shouldn't like pay for me,
mhm.
like is just like that's weird. Like I don't think that they're trying to like mark their territory by doing that. I think they're just trying to like honor you and be respectful. But I do, so I kind of like I walk this weird line because I do like chivalry and I do think that um it is quite romantic or nice when a guy, will take you out or like treat you with respect, open a car door for you.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, I don't think that we are the weaker sex or
Mhm, mhm,
we should be subservient or like that kind of thing.
mhm,
We have the capability and the intelligence to do anything a guy does.
100%. So yeah,
Yeah.
so if I'm understanding you correctly, it's not even about traditional feminism. It's more about you still would like chivalry not to die. Like when you say
Yeah.
like hold the door or like on a first date the man pays and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And I think we've kind of we've like especially with the Me Too movement, we kind of dug ourselves into a hole
Hmm.
because we want to be treated with respect. Yes, absolutely 100%. And we don't want to be like degraded and like identified as just like our for our bodies or whatever. But at the same time, when the whole Me Too movement happened, guys got scared and
Hmm.
they don't want to like approach a girl or ask her out or like take a chance on like sending her a text and telling her she's hot or whatever because
Hmm.
they think that they're going to be like accused of sexual harassment. So now we don't have anything because men are like too afraid, too afraid, you know? And we did that to ourselves.
Do you think it's because of that, or do you think that, the newer generation of, I think the generation just below me, because I am over 30 now, so I wasn't born into the world with smartphones. I
Yeah.
adapted to smartphones and internet, but the generation after, like the newer one,
Yeah.
the one that actually was born into like, oh, YouTube's always been a thing. Oh, smartphone's always been a thing for
Uh-huh.
me.
Yep.
Do you think it's not more like, the social, like, how we got so interconnected that, we've lost something, that we got interconnected online, but in a
Yeah.
real life, it's not, because of screens and because of, screen time, we kind of lost that. Oh, hey, yeah, you need to actually go out, socialize, and you
Yes.
will make yourself a bit of a jackass at, some point, but that kind of is part of that experience.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think
Hmm.
I mean, I'm the same. Like I adapted to phones and internet and email and whatever,
Hmm.
going from dial up to high speed or whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, okay, so like when I was in high school, you had to call somebody.
Yep.
You
Yep.
had to literally pick up a landline and like dial their number,
Hmm.
um, wait for their phone call. Like I remember like coming home and like waiting for my friend to call me like every single day, or
Hmm.
like vice versa.
Hmm.
And now it's instant access and it's instant gratification. And so you don't have to work for anything,
Hmm.
It's just it's easy. Now, I mean, like I love that. I mean, because there'll be times when I don't want to talk to somebody, so I'll send them a text. Or, I mean, you can even schedule texts now. Like that's ridiculous.
Oh
Like
yeah. Yeah.
like you don't want a response like immediately. You want to send it in the middle of the night, so you can like totally do that.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, it's just it's crazy, But that's come with the consequence of people don't have to like socially engage, They don't have to try at all.
Hmm. Hmm. It's gonna be interesting to because like I've noticed this that as I'm getting older, I also kind of catch myself thinking, oh, the generation, we are so cooked because the generation after me is like so bad. But then I come to
Yeah,
think that's what they think of, thought about my generation. And that's what they always,
yeah,
every generation, has the one right after. I'm like, oh, we were bad, but what's coming next? It's absolutely horrible. We are also, we are cooked. And I that kind of gives me a hope a tiny bit that we yet again are in the same space where it's like, oh yeah, we were bad, but what's coming after us is even worse. I feel like to an extent we have opened this Pandora's box with the internet and like screens where it's like
Yeah.
there's no patience for anything. There's like like as you said, like instant gratification, and there will be consequences to that. Where many young I've seen a report that says like many young men like what 60% of young men have never approached a woman in their life, like real life, right?
Yeah. I could see it. Yeah, 100%.
And I'm like, that's gonna end up not well in the long run. And then now, like I've
Yeah.
seen another one where, especially in America, women 30s plus tend to lean much more on a liberal side, but the men
Hmm.
30s plus tend to lean more on the conservative Republican side. And those two generations don't really talk to each other, or those two like age groups then
Yeah.
refuse to date
Yeah.
each other. So it's gonna be, excuse me, it's gonna be interesting for America.
Yeah. No, it's and nobody seems to see it. Like it's like
Mhm,
you guys don't realize that this is what's going on. I mean,
mhm,
my again like the people that I grew up with,
mhm,
like in my age group, I think we were like a sweet spot because we went from not having any like internet or phones or whatever
mhm,
to having them, but still being young enough to learn how to use them wisely and smartly.
mhm.
But like my kids, everything is electronics. Like everything. My daughter knows how to use her phone better than I know how to use my phone.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's because it's been in front of them since they were babies.
Mhm,
And it doesn't matter how hard you try to like remove it.
mhm,
It's just it's everywhere. You
mhm,
know, I was adamant that she wouldn't have a phone, but
mhm,
she has to have one because how else am I gonna like get in contact with her,
mhm.
where she's out doing her sports or whatever. So, but then that results in, just massive amounts of screen time.
Yeah. Yeah. Like again, like I don't have kids, but I hear you because most people around me do have kids, so they talk to me about this as well. And yeah, it's definitely and or you can even see it here. Like if my girlfriend and I are out and about, and like let's say we go for a meal in a restaurant, you always see at least that one couple that has a kid or two and an iPad or two, and because of the
Yep,
kids need to watch their shows to be quiet.
yep,
Otherwise
yep,
all hell breaks loose.
yep,
And I'm
yep,
like,
yep. And I
that's
mean, I'm guilty. I'm
mhm,
totally guilty of doing that. And I
mhm,
hate it. But it's like it's almost like you don't know how to parent without electronics anymore because that's the environment that they're raised in.
mhm,
Like I want my kids to read books and like good luck with that.
mhm, mhm.
It's like pulling teeth.
Yeah. And so would you say because you started on like, your environment, not environment, but like you live in a very conservative area, even though you do live in California, right?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
do you, as so for you, what is the biggest challenge when talking to somebody who doesn't really share your politics or view? Like, what do you think is the biggest, not a problem, but like challenge with talking to somebody like that?
I my mindset is it hasn't always been this way, but I've
Mhm,
I've learned this, especially during like COVID and the Black Lives Matters movement and all the chaos.
mhm,
I don't You can have your own opinion and you can believe what you want to believe.
mhm,
And I, therefore, get to have my own opinion and believe what I want to believe.
mhm,
And if you want to have a constructive conversation about it, let's go, like let's talk. But
mhm,
if you're not going to be constructive, then I don't want to talk to you
mhm,
because it's amazing how many people I've come across who it's just like, no, I'm right. Like I'm gonna like throw a temper tantrum and stomp my foot. And usually those people, not to say that like I'm absolutely brilliant and super like well educated, but like most of the time when those people like have their opinions and they act like that, they're misinformed
mhm,
or they haven't done their research. And so it's like, I don't want to have a conversation with you. I don't want to
mhm,
talk to somebody who's not going to take the time to create an argument that is actually viable.
hmm
So,
hmm
like, bye.
Yeah. No, I've always said, look, I'm down to talk anything, but we need to have our one kind of set of facts. Like,
Yeah,
we cannot have opinions on what actually is happening. Like, we can have opinions on, hey, this movie is great. I don't think so. Okay, let's talk about it because that's very subjective. But if there's a something that's been kind of agreed upon by majority, this is a fact, and you're like, oh, actually, it's not because it's a conspiracy theory, and because I watched 2 hour YouTube documentary about this, and it's
yeah,
and it looks all professional, but it's actually bullshit. That's where like the it everything kind of shatters, and like when there's not one concrete sense of reality, where
yeah,
that and it's fascinating to talk to some people who are like, oh, what do you mean by this? Okay, okay, and we've opened like a Pandora box. It's like, okay, let's go.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's somebody in my life who will like have this like they'll have an opinion and they'll almost come to me and bait me. Like, so did you hear about this? Like, what do you think about this? And they
mhm,
know
mhm,
what my opinion is going to be. But like they're coming to me with like something and then I'll go like, okay, but did you actually do your research?
mhm,
Like, because by the way, this is really what happened. And they're only believing or thinking what they're thinking or believing because their source is they think is reliable.
mhm,
And so I'm like, no, actually, like this is like actually what happened. Like literally dig a little bit and like figure out what's going on before you like try to start a debate.
mhm. Yeah, we do live in interesting times, don't we?
Yes, 100%. And I feel like it's just going to get crazier before it gets better.
Can you see as an American, can you see that, like in a couple of years it might get better?
I I hope so. I really hope so. Um, I'm not I'm more like a believer in humanity than I am in the political system
Hmm
right now. And I I I want to see us do better.
hmm
Like the reality is this is, we have the government that we have because we formed it. And I get that none of us were around when we formed it, but we have to comply. But that doesn't mean we have to be beasts to each other, like we don't have to be horrible.
hmm
Um, and humanity is different than politics. So you can be kind to the person that that's a different political party.
hmm
That's just common sense. So we're not doing too great right now, but maybe we'll get better.
I genuinely hope so. I genuinely hope
Yeah.
so. Yeah. Anything else you want to touch on, or do you want to talk some movies?
Let's talk movies.
All right. Okay. So here's the part of the show where I'll ask you, Leslie, what is the last new movie you would rate 5 out of 5? So anything 2020s onward.
Okay, so last movie, 5 out of 5,
Hmm
was Wicked.
Ah, there's no rest for the
I
wicked.
oh that exactly. That movie, I'm a big fan of I've read the book,
Hmm
love the Broadway show,
hmm
like loved the Broadway show, and then the movie did not disappoint.
Okay.
So just adored it.
So are you also on the lookout, can wait for this November for Wicked for Good
I'm
for the sequel?
so excited. I'm so excited.
Hmm
I
hmm
can't wait. And I'm so like I so and it's extra special for me because this was kind of like my daughter never saw the show, never saw the Broadway show.
hmm
And so this was my way of introducing her to that world and she loved it. We got to watch it together at home when it was streaming
hmm
and she just fell in love too. So that's pretty cool.
Nice. Did you watch the Oscars and like, the opening, when they did
Yes.
the yeah, what did you think about
No,
that?
it was amazing. It was so good. And I mean, I recognize that Ariana and Cynthia, maybe it's like their relationship is for show and publicity and whatever,
Mhm.
but I mean, I buy into it and I think they're both incredible and I know that both of them get a lot of flack, but they're
Yeah.
so talented and so gifted. It's just
I
Ugh.
will say they definitely struck a gold with those two. Like, both of them can sing, both of them
Yeah.
can act. Even like Ariana Grande, I was kind of surprised that she can actually act. So
Yeah.
good for her. Like, it's
Yeah.
not always the case where the singer is also a great actor. Madonna, it's not always the
Uh-huh.
case.
Oh gosh.
It's not
Yeah.
always the case. So like they definitely struck a gold. So
Yeah.
no, okay. So Vic, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Were you rooting for any of them for to get the Oscar gold as well?
Yeah. I mean, yes. I kind of feel like it got shortchanged at the
Mm,
Oscars.
hmm
So but maybe part two. Maybe they'll I feel like that tends to happen when there's more than one movie. Like it took all three Lord of the Rings movies for them to get, you know, it did get Best Picture, right? Yeah, I
Yes,
think it did.
yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it took three movies for them to get the recognition that they deserved, So we'll see. Maybe they'll get it for good.
hmm And also, like, Denis Villeneuve can also talk because, so far, apparently these Dune movies are directing themselves, and these unfilmable
Yeah,
novels are apparently directing themselves. So,
just
nothing to
whatever.
recognize there.
No,
So,
I know.
we kind of
No,
now
yeah,
all hoping the third one will be really great, so he can actually get the nomination and possibly the win he deserved for Can of Bones.
yeah,
Really? But
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's another one that's high up on my list. I that those movies are great.
they
Yeah,
definitely are.
just the scope, it's just amazing. Because
Yep.
again, you're creating this whole world,
hmm Yeah. No.
So
Have you read those books, by the way, the Dune books?
I read, well, I haven't read all of them.
hmm
I've read Dune and whatever the second one is.
hmm
Yeah, I haven't read
Okay.
all of them. I need to though.
Well, to be fair, like the official ones, there's like seven, and there's like 14 unofficial ones or something. There's like something
Yeah,
insane
it's
where they
like
go
I
off the
know.
charts, and I'm like,
Yeah,
ooh, okay.
yeah. It's like Star Wars. They just keep going. The Star Wars books just go and go and go and go.
And now it's in Disney's hands, so they will keep on going. They will keep on cranking them out.
Yeah, whatever. At some point, you just need to stop.
Tell that to that mouse. Tell that to that Mickey
Yeah,
Mouse.
no, he doesn't know. He does that, and the Avengers movies now are getting to the point where it's like, or Marvel, I'm sorry.
hmm
The Marvel universe needs to just cease and desist.
It's gonna be interesting to see what Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four will do because yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah,
Captain
I don't know.
America, the latest Captain America did
Ugh.
fine, didn't do much, like or didn't
No.
do what it was
Well,
expected.
my whole thing with that one was like I feel like the whole hype was Red Hulk, and I mean Harrison Ford was the Red Hulk, so you've got
hmm
this big name actor, and he doesn't Hulk out until like the last 15-20 minutes of the movie.
hmm
So it was like the whole all the hype, and you hardly saw Hulk at all.
And also, they
So
kind of gave, not kind of, they gave it away in trailers and posters and everything. So there was no suspense as to what's actually gonna is happening with Harrison's Ford
yeah,
character. Like you knew,
yeah,
hey, he's gonna turn into Hulk. If only they didn't promote it that heavily, it would have been maybe even cooler. But what do I know?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You need to
Apparently,
get
we know
them.
nothing.
You need to get those butts in the seats, otherwise, uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So whatever.
yeah. Anyway, what is the last quote unquote teen movie you would rate 5 out of 5? So anything between 2003 and 2019.
Okay, so this was a hard one for me
Mhm.
because the teen movies that I've watched have like recently have been like like High School Musical or they
It's
did
just a
like Zon
category
like
name. Like it doesn't
it's
have to
just
be
I
about
know yeah. So
teenagers.
but the last one
Yeah.
I've watched these horrible teen movies. I can't stand them, the new
hmm
ones, but I did like it was 2010
hmm
and I guess apparently this is considered a teen movie. Easy A with Emma Stone. It was
hmm
like a takeoff of The Scarlet Letter.
Yes.
I liked that one a lot. I'm
Okay.
not a teen movie like fanatic, so this was kind of a challenge for me, but I did like Easy A.
I need to, okay, I really need to reword this because many people have caught themselves into this trap where I do say these are just category like names, not necessarily like, teen movies, like anything between those years goes. So like you could have said like Parasite from 2019 and it would totally qualify. Like, that's so like, but Easy A is a great movie. It's like,
Yeah,
Emma Stone really became Emma Stone because of that movie. That was her
because of
like
that
big
movie.
vehicle.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
two-time Oscar winner now, it's,
yeah. No, she's genius. I mean, her in oh, what was it called? The one that she
Poor
got
Things.
nominated for. Yes, so good.
Well, she won
Love
for
that
that
movie.
one. She also
Yeah,
won for Yeah, no,
yeah,
that was a
she's
great movie.
brilliant.
That was
Yeah,
a
so completely opposite of Easy A. Like brilliant. I mean, it's just brilliant, but it shows her scope. Like she can do it.
oh, 100%. Like she already cemented herself as like, this generation, even maybe Meryl Streep. Like she definitely has the acting chops to. If she has the longevity, we'll see. But I really hope
Yeah,
so because
agreed.
she is awesome, and I'll watch anything she's in.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So again, next one is what is the last adult movie you rated? But we are not wanting anything like necessarily R-rated. But
Okay,
yeah,
well,
anything.
yes, but like because I had to think about it. No, so I watched recently, I
Mhm.
think like last week, I watched The Return
Mhm.
with Ralph Fiennes and Juliette Binoche. And so the Odyssey story is one of my favorites. And I cannot wait to see Christopher Nolan, his take on the Odyssey. I'm so excited. But I liked The Return because it was very artistic. Like, and it's like the way they shot it. And I thought it was interesting that they kind of did more of like character development and focused on him coming back, like that portion of the story that I kind of feel like in the Odyssey gets shoved in at the end in a way,
Mhm.
because it's all about the journey. And so I liked the take on it, and Ralph Fiennes was just amazing. Like he was
Mhm.
so good in that role. So yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've seen that one, but I've read the Odyssey. Like, I obviously, back in my day when I used to read, I actually read that. So I always loved it, and I cannot wait to see exactly like you what Christopher Nolan will do with that story because
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh
like that should be pretty good. It should be pretty good.
yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean, the cast that he has is just insane.
but
Just
yeah.
over the top.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, I can't wait.
But no, like I'll have to check it out because that's a movie I don't think I even heard of, but Ralph Fiennes and Julia Binoche, like two great
Yeah,
people.
I think I don't know who made it, but I feel like it was more like an independently made film. I don't even know. It was in the theaters, I think, but very limited.
Hmm.
But because it's the story that it was, I watched it and it's kind of slow, but again, it's slow because it's character driven. It's not action
Yeah,
driven,
yeah. Hmm.
So
No, I get it.
yeah.
I get you. I get you. Okay, okay. So what about some old movies? What is the last old movie you would rate 5 out of 5? So anything 1974 and older.
So I just watched Born Yesterday with
Hmm.
uh William Holden and Judy Holliday. Judy, right? Yes. Yeah, Judy Holliday, and that was done in 1950.
Wow.
And I love old movies
Hmm.
anyways, but this is one of my favorite because she have you seen it?
No, what is it about?
Okay, so it's about there's this essentially a gangster
Hmm.
guy who comes to Washington D.C. to cut a deal with some corrupt politicians, and he has his dame, played by Judy Holliday, and Judy Holliday is she has this hilarious voice where she's gorgeous, she's absolutely stunning, but
Hmm.
then she opens her mouth and she talks like this, and
Ah.
it's high, it's shriek, and it's just she's brilliant as an actress.
Hmm.
And so she's just ditz. She knows nothing. And she's with this guy because he has money and he pulled her out of like a chorus line and whatever. And so, but this reporter played by William Holden comes in and is interviewing the gangster like why are you in DC, da 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 da.
Hmm.
And he treats Judy with like immense like respect, and it's like, you know what, you can be intelligent and smart and educated, you don't have to be this way because the guy you're with says you have to be this way. And so it's done by it's directed by George I'm going to say his name
Cukor.
wrong, Cukor. And
Hmm.
so he's done a lot of stuff that is it's very kind of Americana.
Hmm.
And so it's all about the reporter taking her around DC and, you know, showing her like essentially where our freedom comes from, like the men who created it and the history of America. And so they end up overthrowing the gangster kind of and like ratting him out to the public, and then they get married. But it's just their chemistry is wonderful. And she gets so she has like this huge dictionary that she's always looking words up in, and she'll just like randomly like use a word, you know, that is almost out of context, but when she
Uh,
uses it, she's so proud that she knows it, you
yeah,
know? And it's just and then her voice on top of everything else. It's wonderful. I love that movie.
I need to watch that. That sounds awesome. And yeah, George.
Oh, it's so good.
I think it's like either Kukor or Tsukor because like he originally from Hungary or like
Yeah,
so like I think it actually means sugar because like Zucker is in like sugar in my language in Czech. So like that's probably
that's
that.
fascinating.
It is. It is.
Well, now I know something. That's
I
so
know, right?
cool.
But yeah, he directed Gaslight, which I see in a great movie. That's where we
Yeah.
get the gaslighting from, or like part of
Uh-huh.
it. Part of it is,
Yeah.
and My Fair Lady and like and Philadelphia Story and all those great movies. I had to look it up because I was like, oh, that sounds
No,
interesting, and
it's
he is
so
behind
good.
that.
Yeah.
I need to check it out. Thank you for the recommendation.
Of course, do it.
So you mentioned you like old movies. So what would you say is your favorite movie decade?
Movie decade. Uh, See that now that's a tough one.
Mm,
I think like I think the like kind of like the golden age of Hollywood, like the where you had like the Errol Flynn and the but then okay, but that's tough too because I love Errol Flynn, but then I also love like a Cary Grant.
yeah.
So that kind of like range where you just had like all these great actors and
So like
these
40s.
great
Yeah,
like the
like
40s.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean Errol Flynn growing up was my favorite actor. I watched Robin Hood and The
Hmm.
Seahawk and Captain Blood over and over and over again. And I had on VHS one of his earlier films he did with Ronald Reagan,
Mm.
Santa Fe Trail. And
Hmm.
I would watch that thing until the literally the DVD like exploded. Or not DVD, VHS. The tape just like wore out. So
Nice. Yeah, I think you might be the first person who mentions like their favorite decade is like 40s.
yeah, I love those old movies, you know? Like the
Hmm.
and just like when you think about like how much harder it was to make a movie back then and
Hmm.
like all the I mean like you look at the period pieces they did and I mean just the sets were like handmade and there were no like special effects. Like everything was practical,
Hmm.
you know, and just the I mean the effort and then like the talents. Like you just it's just amazing, you know. All the extras were actually extras.
Extras. Yep.
They weren't CGI.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, you watch like Cleopatra with Elizabeth Taylor, and you're just like the scope of that movie is just obscene.
Or like
Nearly
Gandhi.
bankrupt the or
Yeah.
Gandhi. Yeah, yeah, because I mean, all those people are real,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know.
Yeah. Gandhi
So
famously has still to this day, I think, the Guinness World Record for the amount of extras in one scene because they actually hired like locals for the big Gandhi funeral. And I think
yeah,
there's a one shot where it's estimated around, if I'm not mistaken, at least 100,000 people, maybe 200,000 people. Like it's
that's
insane.
crazy.
No, yeah, so and but I totally agree. Like there is something charming about those movies where it's either set, you can clearly say, oh, they are in a set, like, this is a sound stage,
Yeah.
or if they are
Yeah.
not, they are actually on a real location.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
And the thing I hate watching
mhm,
r- um what's it called? Gosh, restored. I hate watching like films that have been restored or
mhm.
like upgraded to 4K or whatever because
Hmm.
you can tell more clearly that things are set. So
Ah,
when before the quality was such that sometimes you thought that it wasn't like it
mhm.
was actually like on location and then you're like, dang it, this is a studio. What?
I've noticed this. There's a bit like older TV shows, and not even like older. Like I mean, like 90s even, because the aspect ratio is changed. So now,
Yeah.
if you stream, like let's say Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you like the earlier episodes, like some people spotted, hey, this isn't a clear extra that's not supposed to be in the shot, and in the TV version, he wasn't. But now when the,
Yeah.
the aspect ratio is different, they need to have
Yeah.
a bit more. So it's like, oh, but he's there. It's clearly like a member of a crew, and it's like
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
not supposed to be there.
Yeah, yeah, go figure. Like big mistake. You should have just kept things the way they were. Well, I tried to watch Magnum PI because I grew up watching like reruns. And again, there's like I stopped because it's a lot of it is done in a studio. And you
Hmm.
think that they're on location, but really they're not. And so
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I can't do that. No, sorry.
Like I've just recently went through all the James Bond movies, and even if the quality of some of them are not great per any,
Yeah,
means,
yeah,
they
yeah,
still were made on like, if it's Cuba, they are actually in Cuba. If it's like in Philippines, they're actually in the Philippines. And like you
yep.
can tell like, this is not CG. Well, first of all, there was no such thing as CGI,
There
or
was no
CGI
CGI. Yep, yep.
was much more expensive than just to go to the fucking location.
Yeah,
It's
right, right.
and it
Yeah,
like
but
it feels different.
it does. And like it's like you again, you appreciate it too because you're like, okay, like you made the effort instead of like shortchanging the film, you actually did the work,
Hmm.
And again, like yes, it's not, a lot of the James Bond stuff is like it's dated and it's slightly corny, but they tried and they put the effort in, and so I respect that.
Same. Yeah. Also, so we've had some hot takes in general. Do you have any controversial takes or hot takes about anything movie related?
Did I even write anything down for this one? I don't think I did. I didn't. I know like it's not really a hot take because I'm not disagreeing with the majority necessarily, but so like I don't know if you've seen the new Snow White movie, the atrocity that has come out. Um
Not yet.
like okay, so everybody was complaining about first of all, I don't okay, so I guess two things.
Hmm.
Everybody was complaining about her not being white, like
Rachel Ziegler, yeah,
Caucasian,
yeah.
racist, yeah, which drives me nuts because the the original story of Snow White had
Hmm.
nothing to do like she was named Snow White because she was born in a snowstorm.
Hmm.
Like the queen gave birth to her in the middle of a snowstorm, and so therefore it named her Snow White. It had nothing to do with like her skin color.
Hmm.
But then like, like social media and people are just like, why she's not white and why are we like whatever. And same thing with the new Astrid in the live version of How to Train Your Dragon. It's not white. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all,
Hmm.
she's like maybe like a quarter black because her mom is half white and her dad's fully white. So I don't know why we're complaining. Like if that's
Hmm.
what you're gonna go for, but also like she's super cool and who cares? Um so but my I guess my beef with Snow White is they completely changed the story and it's not a love story. Like she there's no kiss and there's I haven't seen it, but from what I've heard, like I guess they changed the way the witch dies. And
Hmm.
I hate when Disney especially because Disney does this all the time. Disney will get a hold of a movie and they think that they're making it better and they just destroy it. It drives me nuts.
Hmm.
Absolutely nuts.
Hmm.
So,
I
that's my hot take.
Okay. I haven't seen the new one yet, so I cannot really for my opinion, at least,
Yeah.
but from what I've seen, it's basically it was way cursed before it ever came out. Like
Yeah.
there's a couple of reasons why this group hates it, this group hates it, this group, and it's like a totally different reasons. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a movie. It's like if you're if you're liberal, you can hate. If you're Republican, you can hate. Like, it seems like
Mm-hmm.
one of those like rare moments where like no matter which side of the aisle you're on, there is something for you to hate on. And I'm like, that's great. Like I'm so happy that we live in this such a day and age where we we do
Right.
that apparently, and then
Right.
review bomb the movie where it became the lowest rated movie on IMDb, which obviously it's
Uh-huh.
not that bad. I don't think. I haven't seen it. But like, based on everything else I've heard about it, it's fine. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
on Disney Plus soon. When it will be there, I'll have to check it out for myself.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Rachel Ziegler is talented enough where she is getting a bit too much shit for just existing. So I'm like,
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
girl is young, just get off her back. Like,
Yeah.
just let
Yeah,
her
and I know
be.
like I know she said stuff, but it's like everybody in Hollywood says something at some point,
Hmm.
And so it's not that she said what she said, it's that they're using that against her,
Yeah.
whereas somebody could have said the exact same thing and been like a mega movie star and it would have been completely glossed over and accepted,
Hmm.
you know. It would have like changed like the narrative, like, oh, well, they think that, then we should all think that. So
Yeah.
it's because of who she is.
I, yes, unfortunately, and again, do like I've seen some snippets of why people are mad at her, and I'm like, look, is it a bit cringy what she said? Sure. Is she kind of right? Also sure. Does she deserve
Yeah.
all the hate she is getting, and many people are aiming for her right now? 100% no. Like, get off her back. Like, just I don't understand
Yeah.
how you
Yeah.
can be a full-grown adult, mostly adult men, and
Yeah.
you spend a majority of your free time just hating and digging through like old interviews and stuff of hers and just to find
Yeah.
any additional dirt on her. And I'm like, really? Do you not
Yeah.
have any better things to do with your time?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't, yeah, and I've never understood that. It makes no sense to me. Like, I mean, another a perfect example okay, Little Mermaid. I love
Hmm.
Little Mermaid. I'm a
Hmm.
redhead. She's my idol, right? Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
I aspire to be Ariel, but sh I always say it's Halle Bailey, right?
Hmm.
Did I get it
Yeah.
right? Yes. Okay. I always get her and Halle Berry mixed up.
Hmm.
Um, I thought she did a great job, and I thought the story worked, and I thought that it was totally fine to have a Black Little Mermaid. Like,
Hmm.
what I mean, I get the fact that like if you're looking at it from like a literary or a cultural standpoint, maybe it didn't work, but they
Hmm.
moved like the original is set in France or kind of implied that it's set in France. They moved this one to like the Caribbean or whatever.
Yeah.
So like so what? It's like it's fine, you
Hmm.
know. Now the only thing that I didn't like about that movie is they changed who kills Ursula, which made me mad because that was Disney being woke and saying like basically like Eric can't save Ariel. Ariel has to save herself, which
Hmm.
drove me nuts. But that again is like my whole chivalry thing coming in. Like, why couldn't Eric like? I mean, Ariel saved him from the shipwreck, so why couldn't you know
He
Eric
returned
do
the
what he
favor.
did? And yeah, like I was like, this is okay, guys. Like I was fine with the movie until that point, and I was like, oh, why? There you go again, Disney.
I think The Little Mermaid is like, yeah, like perfect example of exactly what we were talking about with the Snow White, but I think like even to an extreme, where there was like many people, again, grown as men, obsessed
Yeah,
with that. Like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
Black Mermaid, oh my
yeah.
God,
Makes no sense.
the world's gone nuts. What the fuck? And then I watched it on Disney Plus. I didn't go, I'm a grown man. I'm not gonna go see Little Mermaid in a cinema. Like I don't have
That's
kids.
fair.
Like I don't have. If I
Yeah,
had kids and they wouldn't want to see it, okay, I'll go. But I don't. So I waited, for Disney Plus. I was like, you know what? I need to check it out for myself if it's truly that bad or whatever. It was fine. It was, and
yeah,
if, not for nothing, if it wasn't for Bailey in this role, because she has some pipes on her. Like she can sing.
Yep.
She they like she uplifted what was for me fairly mediocre movie. But
Yeah.
again, I'm not the target demographic, so like nobody can nobody
It's
gives a
okay.
fuck what
It's
I
okay.
think. Exactly, exactly. I don't have to
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
not every movie needs to be made for me. I get it.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
it wasn't for her specifically, it would be even worse. Like she uplifted that entire movie by like one entire slot. I'm like, okay, respect. Like she
Yeah.
was awesome in that
Yeah.
movie. And again, Snow
Yeah.
White, I'll see it eventually, and I'm interested as far as like whether it. I don't think it's gonna get that hate, or I don't think it deserves that hate it's getting right now. I think it's a bit overblown. But at the same time, do I believe it's not the best movie Disney's produced? No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. I think it's just it's Disney basically saying we're Disney so we can do whatever we want. Like, and we're not going to listen to like the general public and what their views and their opinions are. Like, we're just going to do it and we don't care, which is now coming back to haunt them.
And it's not even that. It's like we all know, or some people know why they're doing this to extend the rights for those stories. If they didn't remake
Yeah.
that, then those rights would, eventually you could make your own, Snow White movie or whatever. By them remaking it, they are holding to those rights. So
Yeah.
they are more
Yeah.
than willing to lose some, hundreds of millions as long as they keep the rights to themselves. That's a long
Yeah.
run. It's, for them, oh yeah, we'll lose 100 million here. Oh, it's fine. As long as we have Snow White and the right to use her likeness for the next 50 years, we're
Yep.
golden. And
Yep.
that's what it is, really. Just
Yep.
it's all in the
Exactly.
money.
Exactly.
Okay, I think, do you have any other hot takes or
Nope, that's
movie?
it. I'm sure I could talk for days, but let's keep going.
Fair. Okay, I think with that we can move to the underrated part, where I'll
You
ask
got
you,
it.
Leslie, who do you think is the most underrated actor we have right now?
So the first guy that came to mind was Will Poulter, who
Ah,
has yeah. I saw him first in he was in, oh gosh, Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Like
okay.
the Disney version of Voyage of the Dawn Treader as Eustace.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he was just brilliant in that. And then he's just as he's grown up, he's just gotten better and better and better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Have
I don't think
you?
he gets the Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask, just have you seen Death of a Unicorn yet?
No. Is it good?
The movie is, I enjoyed it for what it was, but he steals every scene he's in. If you think Will Poulter is underrated, you need to watch that movie. Like he is
Oh, good. I
so
can't wait.
funny. He is so funny in every single scene he's in. It's just he like he uplifts that movie 100%.
I'm in. I'm gonna have to watch it.
Oh no, it's as long as you're fine with some mild violence and mild horror, kind of like Jurassic Park. As long as you're
I
fine
can
with
do that.
that, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm in.
All right, no, Will Poulter, yeah, like and with him, that like it's quite recent, so that's a recency bias. But like I'm ready for him to move away from comedies and like let's see what he's got in store because he's been
Yeah,
kind of on an uprise recently, and I'm like, okay, okay, I like
yeah,
what are you cooking with, so let's see.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
So that's my underrated actor.
okay, who do you think is the most underrated actress then?
Lena Headey, who did
Nice.
300, and
Mm-hmm.
then I don't know, like I feel like she's one of those people who you see in something and
Mm-hmm.
you think that she should be everywhere, but she's not, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I don't know why, because she's talented and she's gorgeous. And
Mm-hmm.
I know she's like, I guess she's a little bit older as far as Hollywood actresses go, but she's fabulous, you know?
I was gonna say, don't you know she committed the worst sin you can possibly commit as a woman and be of certain age? For Hollywood.
Yeah, right?
You
Yeah, like
cannot
how dare she?
you cannot,
I know.
age. What do you mean?
I know. But
You
then
can
you've got Meryl Streep and Helen Mirren who are still acting and they're absolutely dynamic, you
well, there's a
know?
difference. We like them, right? Like, like, and by
Yeah.
me, I mean Hollywood. They like them, so like it's fine.
Hmm. Yeah,
Those are the
right? Yeah.
exceptions.
Right?
No.
Yeah, but if you get old and we don't like you, you're screwed.
Yeah, it's no like her and Game of Thrones, like like obviously Cersei, like
Yes.
but you mentioning 300, that's used to be one of my favorite movies of all time when I was growing
Oh,
up. I loved her
yes.
in that as that powerful queen. Like she was like
Oh,
so fucking awesome. I was like,
no.
damn.
I know. No. Yeah, no, that she is 300. 300 was one of those movies you go and see in the theater and it's just it's a whole new movie going experience, you
Oh,
know?
100%.
And I mean, I vividly remember like seeing it in the theater and just being blown away. And I mean,
Me
Gerard
too.
Butler's not bad either. So like it was great all around.
I was gonna say, I cannot blame you. Like, I looked at him and look at myself, and I'm like, I'll never look like that. I'm sad, but also I kind of admire that physique. Like, holy fuck.
Right? Yeah, like I mean, just the commitment to like to get like that, and I mean all the guys in that movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I know like David Wenham's in there, and oh, there's another guy that
Michael
eventually
Fassbender.
became. Yes, yes, Michael. Yeah, like yeah, and these, I mean, they were fabulous, and you didn't know who they were at that point,
Mm-hmm.
really. And so, and then they became better known, and Gerard Butler's still acting, although he doesn't look like that anymore, which
Mm-hmm.
I constantly like comment on. I'm like, what happened? Like, what what are you doing to yourself? No, go back.
Yeah. And despite like and I hear exactly what you say. Like despite this movie, like 300 became it became almost a meme at this point because of all the slow-mo and the muscles and
Hmm.
like this is Sparta. I
Yes.
also remember seeing it in a cinemas, and as you say, it was a transformative. For me, I was at the time 15, and I still remember going to see that movie in a cinema with at the time my best friend, and we both just we left the cinema, and for like good 20 minutes, two 15-year-old boys didn't know what to say to each other
Yeah.
because we were
Yeah.
like, that was fucking something else. Like it
Yeah.
just gripped you. And so to
Yeah.
this day, it holds a special place in my heart, even despite all the slow-mo, despite everything, that filter. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and again, Lena Headey, like the scene where she stabs Dominic West, the
Yes.
senator,
Yes.
uh,
Yeah.
and and I'm
Yeah.
like, yes, go off,
Yeah.
Queen, go off.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I mean, she plays the the hardcore, I don't care that I'm a woman
Hmm.
character so well,
Hmm.
and she was just very empowering, in that
Hmm.
movie. And she's not even like the main character,
Hmm.
but she just does it so well.
And you will remember her from that movie. Like despite all these like
Yeah,
buff dudes that look pristine, you will still remember,
right?
oh, Lena Headey
Yep.
was the queen and she was fucking awesome. Did you
Yeah.
speaking of
Yeah.
her, have you ever seen the TV show Sarah Connor Chronicles, Terminator, Sarah Connor Chronicles?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think we finished it. I think we watched some of it because I love Terminator.
Hmm.
So, I
Hmm.
mean, it goes without saying that anything Terminator related is I'm going, but it's way again, like, I mean, you know me and I don't ever finish anything. So,
To be fair, the station didn't finish it for you because it got canceled after second season, just as the show was kind of starting to get pretty great. I'm gonna say,
of
if I'm,
course.
I remember the first season was like, okay, okay, there is something there, and like as the second season progressed, I was like, I'm getting really into this, and then the season two ends on a cliffhanger where they meet John Connor, if I remember correctly, but it never,
And then
but
they
then they
cancel. Ugh.
yeah, they canceled it. I think it was also like the one of the victims of writer strike at the time because it was like just around the same time where the strike of like 2007-8 was happening. And
Ugh.
I think that it was one of those victims. I might be wrong. It might just not have the viewership. But if I'm remembering correctly, it was one of the victims of that strike. So
Stupid.
because now she was awesome as Sarah Connor. Like I will say, obviously, what's her name from the original movies? Linda Hamilton.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
always gonna be Sarah Connor. However, Lena Headey in that TV show, I thought
No, she
she
did good.
She did
And
very well.
it was almost like she reincarnated Linda Hamilton. Like
Hmm.
it was crazy how it worked like that, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know if that was intentional with the casting or not, but it was crazy.
No, she's awesome, and I wholeheartedly agreed. Like, I wish to see her in more movies, Lena, because I haven't seen her. Like, yeah, you made me think about it. I cannot remember the last time I seen her. That was probably just the Game
Yeah,
of Thrones finale.
she just kind of like disappeared off the whatever.
Maybe she
So,
just cashed them, Game of Thrones checks, and I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'll,
yeah,
I'll just tend to my garden or something, or like, read all the books or whatever she's into. Maybe.
yeah, exactly.
So, who do you think is the most underrated director we have right now?
I think I'm gonna butcher his last name,
Hmm.
so I'm just gonna own it right now. But Darren Aronofsky, is
Yeah,
that
Aronofsky,
how
yeah.
you say
Hmm.
it?
Hmm.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no, I mean, it's not like he's like a complete unknown or
Hmm.
underrated, but I feel like he gets a lot of flack for the stuff that he makes,
Hmm.
and people either get it or they don't. And more often I think they don't. Um,
Hmm.
but I love his work and I wish he would do more. But yeah, I that's who I picked.
Okay, okay. Which one of his movies is your favorite?
A tough one. Probably he did do Requiem for a Dream, right? I'm not wrong in that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay. Because now I'm just like, oh gosh, I'm gonna like get the director's movie wrong. Yeah, it would probably be Requiem for a Dream.
That's
It was just, it was so forward for its time, which I have so much respect for him making that movie when he did.
mhm,
Um, and just kind of like not holding anything back. Like he didn't try to water anything down or
mhm, mhm.
anything. And so, yeah, I have mad respect for him for doing that.
No, 100%. I would probably have to say the same, even though I've only seen it once. But it's one of those movies. Do you want to really rewatch it? Like, knowing everything that movie throws
Yeah.
your way, do you want to put yourself back into that mindset? And like, because I feel like I'm due for a rewatch, but also I don't know if I can take
Yeah, it's
it
one of those
again.
movies where it's like, well, it's like a Schindler's List. Like, it's so good.
Yep.
It's so well done.
Hmm.
But do I want to subject myself to that? You know?
Correct.
And then you feel guilty for thinking that because it's about the Holocaust and like a people like lived that. But then you're like, I can't do it again.
No, but it's
Yeah.
totally fair. Like, it's not like every nice Saturday evening, like, oh yeah, I'm in the mood for Schindler's List. Yeah, let me
Yeah.
let me put
Right.
that on with a bottle of wine and have a nice
Right.
Saturday
Yeah.
evening.
Yeah. Yeah. I just watched Braveheart, which is one of my top
Hmm.
favorite movies. But like I wreck myself
Hmm.
because I hate the ending.
Mm.
Um and I hate watching it and I know it's coming for like the whole first, 2 hours of the movie.
Hmm.
And then, but I suffered myself through it. Like, oh, he died. Of course he died. It's historical fact. Yeah.
I think that's probably the only historical fact in that movie, to be honest. It's a great movie,
Uh-huh.
but like, don't take your history, especially from that
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Many Scottish people here don't,
No, no. Well, the fact that they have an American playing a Scotsman, like, it's
well,
just like, why? Like,
Australian.
you couldn't find a good Scottish actor?
Yeah,
Yeah, or Australian, yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
he is Australian. That's right. That's right. I forgot that he's Australian.
To be
Yeah.
fair,
And now
everything he
he's just
does, like,
crazy.
it feels American. Like, Mel Gibson is so unhinged, like, he kind of feels American at times. I get it.
No, it's true. You need to go back to like his like old stuff, to appreciate any of his work.
Like Mad Max or like Lethal Weapon, like that, like, that mullet, that, like,
Yeah,
part.
exactly. Did you ever see is it Gallipoli I think it's called Gallipoli.
I
That's like one
know,
of his first.
uh-huh. I know what you mean.
Is
I
it
don't think I've seen it. Is it like a pirate
that's a
movie?
it's no, I think it's him. It's been ages since
Mm,
I saw it. I think it's him crossing a part of Australia,
mm-hmm.
like a desolate, uninhabited part. I could be so wrong. Or maybe it's a war. Now I can't even remember what it's about. but I remember that I liked it because it was him, like a brand new baby fledgling actor, and he's young
Mhm.
and he's not crazy. Yeah,
I'm
you
checking
know,
it. It is called Gallipoli. You're absolutely right. And the
what's
premise is two Australian sprinters face the brutal realities of war when they are sent to fight in a Gallipoli campaign in Turkey during World War
there you
One.
go.
So you were
There you go.
right.
So
No? Yeah.
yeah, okay, cool.
No, I
My
have
brain
not
isn't
seen it.
that.
I have not
That's a
seen
good
that one.
one.
Okay, I'll again on my ever-growing watch list it goes.
There you go, right? Yeah. Happy to help.
Oh, and thank you, honestly, genuinely thank you. Uh, I know the next one is difficult because there are so many movies, but do you have one or two do you wanna shout out as underrated?
So the first, and this is probably because again, I just watched this, but I put down Charade with
Hmm.
um with Audrey
Audrey Hepburn.
Hepburn and Cary Grant. Because like that movie when it came out and even like now,
Hmm.
um everybody think, and this is so trippy, everybody thinks that Alfred Hitchcock
Yeah,
directed that movie,
but he
but
didn't.
he didn't.
Hmm.
And so because of that, like I feel like people sometimes are just like, oh, well, now it's not as cool because
Hmm.
it was some what I wrote the guy's name down. I forget. Stanley Donen or Donen
Hmm.
directed it. And I don't even know who that is. Um, like so it's like okay, not cool. And then it was just like I don't like when it came out, like it didn't do as great as like a lot of their other movies. And so, but it's a fantastic movie.
Hmm.
And it's complex and that the last scene, it's also really weird seeing the guy, oh, what's his name? The guy that's the bad guy. Walter Matthau. It's
Oh
weird
yeah.
seeing him as a bad guy because I think of him like as grumpy old men. And
Hmm.
so it's like, what? He's a villain?
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's what I wrote down for that one.
Okay, for me, Walter Matthau specifically was Dennis the Menace when they made the movie in the 90s.
Yes.
So
Yeah, yeah,
I grew up watching that movie over and over again. And for me, he was always the good and the nice old neighbor, who like is the I can't
yeah,
remember the character's name, but yeah, I for me that's a lovable, well, grumpy, like
yeah,
grumpy man, but not grumpy old man. But
yeah,
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 so for me, that's all.
yeah.
Yeah, seeing him that's that kind of role. Yep. No,
It was
but
just,
Charade is a
it
good
was,
movie.
yeah, it's a great movie.
Any other ones?
That's the one that came to mind. I
Okay.
don't, yeah, yeah,
Okay. But all good. That's all good. What
there you
about
go.
some TV shows? Is there one or two you would want to shout out as underrated?
So have you ever, because you like pirates, have you
Mhm.
ever seen Black Sails?
I have not. I've heard a lot of things about it. It's stars, isn't it?
It stars, yeah, 2017, I
Mm-hmm.
think, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Fabulous. Like absolutely fabulous. I watched it after the fact. Like but after it was on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fantastic. Like it's so good, so creative. There's just I don't even know the actress's name. There's some actress that plays Anne Bonny who was like a real female pirate, and she's brilliant. She's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then Toby Stevens is in it. It's just yeah, it's wonderful.
See, like I actually like stars because I grew up watching the I don't know if you've seen the Spartacus TV show.
Oh my gosh.
And poor
Yes.
and the guy from the first series, then he was diagnosed with cancer. They made a spin-off just to
Yes.
let him like heal, and he unfortunately died, so they had to recast. And there's a whole shtick, not shtick, but there's a whole story about it. There's a whole documentary about that, his fight with cancer, which he ultimately, unfortunately, lost. But this show is actually fucking brilliant.
It's so good.
And I
It
rem-
is so good.
And I remember, and the reason I'm bringing it up, I remember they had like a story about Spartacus for like next 3 or 4 seasons, but they, like, they said, oh no, we're just gonna do one more season and that's it, and they'll like wrap everything up. And I remember at the time that, Black Sails was advertised as the next big thing. And I remember many people were like kind of, and it, like from the beginning, so I never went into it. But recently I've noticed many people online seem to suggest, oh, the later seasons are great. Like it's only like 4 seasons or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at least the online circles I occupy, they seem to think, oh no, it's actually a brilliant show, and many people are sleeping on it. So I am curious to go to it and watch it because you're not the only
Yeah.
one who's like, oh, Black Sails is fucking amazing.
Yeah. No, and I mean, it starts kind of slow in the
Hmm.
sense that they're not necessarily like on the water being pirates.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, but then it gets really good. It's just, oh, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, like after I knock out like 50 or so shows that I want to watch, like I definitely want
I
to
know.
get around that because there's so much to well, yeah, there's so much to watch.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
That's
You just,
insane.
you're inundated with stuff.
Yes, fortunately and unfortunately. Like,
Yeah.
you will never run out, but also, there's so much to watch. It's hard to pick up what's next. Oh, what do I want to occupy my time with next? And it's just one of
Yeah,
those. Well,
exactly.
Leslie, this has been a blast. Like, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
I've enjoyed
you.
myself. Before we say goodbye, do you have a question or two for me since you've been kind and patient enough with me and answered all my questions?
I want to know, I don't
Oh,
know if you can share this, but I want to know how your anniversary went.
it went fine. It went fine. So yeah, a little behind the scenes, we postponed this recording by 1 week because my dumbass scheduled it originally for my girlfriend's and I anniversary, 7th anniversary. It went nice. We went out for a nice lunch slash dinner, and
Nice.
yeah, and that was really it. Like we spent, and then like we walked home, we watched the movie. Yeah, it was beautiful.
And you said 7 years?
Correct. 7 years now.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
No,
No,
yeah, it went
yeah.
great.
I had to know. I had to find out.
I do appreciate that you remembered that. Okay, nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course.
Any other questions?
Though that was the only one I thought of.
Nice, perfect, nice and succinct. No, genuinely, I had a great time. So, if people also enjoyed our chat, where is the best place for anybody to follow you?
So I am on TikTok at Greyhaven Bound,
Hmm.
which is a Lord of the Rings reference. And then I'm on Instagram at Lepie. It's Lepie
Hmm.
21. And then I do have like my own website, which if like the books sound appealing, that's kind of where I ask people to subscribe because I put like updates on there and I'll send out newsletters to people who subscribe.
Hmm.
And that's just my name. So it's www.leslieannlee.com. And Anne is with an E.
Okay. All right. Those links will be down in the description so people can click in and follow you. So,
Awesome.
thank you again. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
As far as for me, as always, In Movies Lost on Letterboxd, here every second Friday, or lostinmovies.co.uk, which is my blog. Uh, this podcast is part of SPDM Crew Media, and special thanks goes to Highflyer Creative for designing my logo. To see what else they have happening, visit highflyercreative.com. And until next time, bye bye.